break down the constitutional violations when you have a government with legislation openly saying we can keep you safe, but we need to be able to secretly arrest citizens with no trial and strip them of their citizenship and give them enhanced interrogation, i.e. torture.
So why would the Founding Fathers create any government at all? Well, to protect the life, liberty, and private property that we already had. Any government that's going to be legitimate is going to protect your property. Any government that is violating your life, liberty, or property is illegitimate. The purpose of the Constitution was to establish limitations on government power. The Americans who live here need to understand the difference between rights and privileges. They need to understand the Constitution. They need to understand that we are the source of all political power and that the government works for us. We don't have free speech zones in the United States. This is ridiculous. And any Supreme Court justice that has written to violate or limit your freedom of speech is certainly not a constitutionalist and should never be on the Supreme Court.
Michael Badnarik, talk about the difference between a republic and a democracy, 9th, 10th Amendment, and versus this federal government itself captured by foreign corporate interest.
A democracy, everybody knows, majority wins. But what they leave out is that the minority loses. In a democracy, you can vote on anything. You can vote to take somebody else's property away. You can vote to limit somebody else's freedom of speech. We live in a republic. A republic is based on law. One person and the right of private property will supersede a unanimous vote. In a republic, the minority is protected from an overbearing majority. So the major difference for you to know is that in a democracy, you can vote on anything, and in a republic, there are many, many things that you're not allowed to vote on. Now, the 9th and 10th Amendments are very important. They actually work together. The 9th Amendment says that because we have a Bill of Rights, that's not a complete list. The Bill of Rights doesn't say anything about your right to have children, but you clearly have a right to have children. The Bill of Rights says nothing about your right to travel, but you have a right to travel. So the 9th Amendment explicitly says that the Bill of Rights is not a comprehensive list. There are things that you can do by right which are not listed in the Bill of Rights. On the contrary, the 10th Amendment explicitly says that the government is not allowed to do things unless the Constitution explicitly allows it. We, the people, have rights. We give the government privileges, and those privileges for the government are listed in Article 1, Section 8. Anything that the government is doing not explicitly listed in Article 1, Section 8 is, by definition, unconstitutional.
And all powers that are not listed in the 10th Amendment, there's only 3 of them, are reserved to the states or the people. And the 9th Amendment, as you said, clearly states, you know, every common right of a free creature. We've got it all, and the federal government can't touch it. But now the feds are saying they want to push a one-child policy here because it's not expressly enumerated. But when it is enumerated under the First Amendment, how can you have someone who's going to be the Supreme Court justice say, I'm going to arrest you for your speech? What a piece of trash. What a tyrant. What an enemy of anyone that loves freedom. Michael Badnarik, big part of the new film. Don't Tread on Me. Get it first at Infowars.com. I'm so excited about this film from William Lewis and Gary Franchi. Michael, we see the public waking up. You know, when you came fourth in the presidential election as a Libertarian Party candidate in 2004, people were starting to wake up, but not like they are now. Are you seeing the same awakening I'm seeing? And are you concerned about the attempt to demonize any type of Tea Party or 10th Amendment, 9th Amendment, states' rights nullification movement?
I do see a huge increase in the number of people who are waking up. A lot of the people that I talk to tell me they've only woken up in the last year or so. So we have the Tea Party, the Campaign for Liberty, the 9/12 groups. All of these different groups are starting to gather people, and this is an incredibly good thing. You and I have been telling people about this stuff for years, and I for one feel that they're finally starting to listen to us, Alex. That's a good thing. As far as, do I worry about the mainstream media demonizing us? No, I really don't worry about it, because I know it's not going to stop you and I. But I think that when your ordinary average person goes to a Tea Party rally and they find out on the news that they're a radical extremist, they're racist, they're going to realize that that's not true, and they're going to draw the conclusion that most of what the media has been telling us has been a lie for all these years. So it is a little bit irritating, but I think that having the mainstream media badmouth us is really a good thing in the long run.
Well, I agree with you. They still think that they have air superiority, basically, and no one can challenge them. But when they lie and distort and twist, they're only losing what little bit of credibility they may have had left, and that's why you see all their numbers plunging. It's not just people converting over to the internet. That's happening as well. But they've done national studies that the population trust alternative media 2-to-1 with the amount of trust they give mainstream media. And mainstream media is now admitting they're getting federal funds for what they call behavior placement or brainwashing. Well,
this is just the start. This is just the start with the things that you were talking about at the top of the hour. Webster Tarpley is telling us that it's 6 months to a year. The number of people who are coming over to internet media and to support the Constitution and liberty is going to grow exponentially. We're beyond the tipping point. And at this point in time, it's a downhill slide, and things are just going to keep on picking up speed. It's going to be interesting. Not everybody's going to be able to hold on to the toboggan, but we are pointed in the direction of liberty, and we're starting to increase our speed. The census is mandated by the Constitution. That part is true. But as you said a few moments ago, the only thing they can ask is how many people live in your house. Now, frankly, it's in your best interest to answer that part of the census so that we get accurate representation. But as I told a census worker, what difference does it make if the Republicans and Democrats in office in Congress are passing the Patriot Act, the Military Commissions Act, the Homegrown Terrorist Act? Then they're not really representing us.
They think we're so ignorant. Is this not 100% the opposite of our republic?
Absolutely. 180 degrees out from what we want. People need to understand that we have individual rights. And I hate the phrase constitutional rights, because people get the idea that the Constitution gives you your rights, and therefore Joe Lieberman and his friends can take those rights away from you. Your rights are inherent. You had the right to life before they signed the Declaration of Independence. You had freedom of speech before they ratified the First Amendment. And by God, you have a right to defend your life whether or not anybody in Washington, D.C. reads and understands the Second Amendment. Your rights are inherent. They cannot be taken away from you. But you have to remember Thomas Jefferson's words, you only have the rights that you are willing to fight for.
Well, let me add to that. Republicans supported the Patriot Act, even though Section 802 says it's for citizens. Now, we receive from law enforcement, it's been big national news for a year and a half, the government documents that this is really for us. Now, Homeland Security admits American citizens are the main terrorists they want to get. People that want to end the Fed, we're terrorists. Ron Paul's bad. We're all, Oath Keepers are seditious. That's Mother Jones. Arrest us all. So now a lot of conservative groups, have got the headline, Hillary can revoke your citizenship, and that's what they can do if they get this through. I mean, this is for us.
But you have to understand that the government lies, cheats, steals, and murders. They are ignoring the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Sending them a certified letter is not going to change the way that they interact with you. I mean, you may be correct. I mean, legally and technically you may be correct, but the government is going to come and put a bag over your head and whisk you away anyway. We need to get hundreds of thousands of people together to rally could demonstrate that we outnumber them by several orders of magnitude. If Congress was actually doing something to protect your life, liberty, and property, it would be in your best interest to answer. But since Congress is out of control, the White House is out of control, oh boy, the Supreme Court is way out of control. It really doesn't matter whether you answer that or not. I agree that it's time for Texans to stand up, but I think it's almost time for us to stand up and defend the Alamo again. The Constitution is not there to protect you, and it won't. Stand on a railroad track with a copy of the Constitution in front of you and with a train coming, you'll see exactly how much protection it has.
We have to take the counties, the cities, the states back and then enforce it and use grand juries indicting treasonous scum. We've got to indict Goldman Sachs, as Ron Paul has said.